This is my 2002 Firebird Firehawk, the last one ever made. Not just the last year, the last one. In the final year of production, 2002, which this is, they officially made 1,503 Firehawks. This is Firehawk number 1,503, the very last one. And we are on a mission to create the best period correct Firehawk build. And today I'm here to talk to y'all about my custom Gorilla Splitters Aero package. Front splitter, side skirt, rear spat, custom width with VORTEX generators. Yes, it works. Yes, it both reduces drag. It also increases downforce by getting all the air out from underneath of the car and preventing it from getting under there. And also these VORTEX generators, as we'll see in the footage, kick air out and around the car instead of letting it bash into the front of the wheel or just skirt down the side and get sucked underneath the tail of the car. And yes, we actually have proof of not only that this does work, but how it works through smoke testing at speed. You'll be able to see everything from ground level to a couple of feet above the car visually throughout this video. One important thing to note is that the front splitter on this is made of aluminum and then wrapped in gloss black 3M wrap material. And yes, it did come with all the splitter guards that are black to match so they don't stand out. We're not going canary yellow like the Mopar guys. We want it to blend in, look nice and clean. Also, a heck of a deal. So follow the description down below if you want to get hooked up on that. I'll also have all the information on wheels, tires, brakes, everything I've done to this will continue to be in the description of these videos going forward. So let's just get straight into it. To get a complete picture of how this works, we're going to look at several angles at full and slow speed with both smoke and flower petals. So let's get started with this side view right here. This first shot is going right to left. We're not going to spend much time on it because there's a second follow-up shot with greater speed, but you can see here, the smoke begins to interact with the aero of the car at least 2 feet in front of the car, even at this about 35 mile an hour-ish run right here. It goes over the car and then down across the rear spoiler and then gets kicked up, and then the remaining amount of smoke that's sort of trailing behind the car collapses in to fill that void. And now we're going to go right to left at almost twice the speed that we did the first time. And again, we can see the smoke and therefore the air interacting with the leading edge of the car at least 2 feet in front of the car. But now that we're going at a higher speed, we have a better look at what happens at speed. The smoke rolls over the top of the car, and remember, any air that is displaced applies pressure. If it's displaced and it's pushed from a lower spot over the car, and it's pressing down on the top of the car. If more smoke gets under the car, basically if the air gets pulled from a higher elevation down up underneath of the car, that's going to apply lift. And so the fact that we have this smoke going from a lower angle and then being moved up over the top of the car does indicate downforce from the body of the car. And then as that smoke rolls over the canopy of the vehicle and interacts with the spoiler, you can see it does actually travel down that fastback roofline and interacts fully with the spoiler. You can see some smoke trailing off the spoiler and some smoke trailing off the sides of the vehicle. And then there is several feet, 6, 8-ish feet after the car has already passed, then we get the secondary force of the air catching up and collapsing down that void that's left behind the car. And now we're going to look at a couple angles at the same location at about the same speeds from the nose of the car to see how it interacts around the sides and over the top from a different angle. We also have some hay on the ground to sort of see how much air is being drug across the floor and how it's interacting with the car. As you can see, a mild amount of that hay that's on the road does get drug along with the car a little bit, but it's pretty much drug cleanly in a straight line, except for some of it that interacts with that mid-air dam just behind the radiator exit under the front axle of the car. You can see in this clip, and I'll show you in another, it actually ejecting hay and air out from underneath of the car, creating vacuum underneath the car, which is exactly what we want, because vacuum under the car is just as important, if not more important, than downforce on top of the car. You can also see in this clip a large air vortices collapsing behind and up near the top where the spoiler interacts with the air. But if you look lower and to the sides, there's a second smaller air vortices helping collapse that disturbed air back on itself and get it off of the car instead of dragging air and causing drag behind us. And now we can see when I'm at a greater speed than I was in the first clip, how quickly that air collapses back behind the car, and you can plainly see the underbody air dams, the front splitter, the side skirts, the rear spat, and the spoiler all get a chance to interact with this air. And this footage really makes me want to do a custom diffuser with strakes before I'm completely finished with this car. Here we have some rolling footage, and first we're going to start with these flower petals. These are small, less than 1 cubic inch in size. They are dehydrated flower petals, and you can see that the way that they interact, especially near the front corners of the car, where it interacts with that front high pressure system in front of the car and the vortex generators to kick around the car instead of hitting the nose or hitting the tire. And then once it's around the side and coming around the tail of the car, it then twists or spins back in those air vortexes back into the air column. Now my camera car, or truck, SUV rather, that is driving in front of the Firebird that has a camera attached to it is my 2010 Chevrolet Tahoe Z71. It is not aerodynamic at all. Because we're driving at speed, it does disrupt that smoke column quite a bit. But what we can see is that the smoke that is interacting with the car is going around, and more importantly, up and over the top of the car. It's stuck to the top of the car. It's not getting blasted off of the nose or the windshield. It is riding over the lines of the car and interacting with the exterior of the car, including our Aero package here. You can really see just how tight that smoke is packed around the car from the nose all the way to the tail. And then you can also see that once the smoke stops, the smoke isn't chasing us down the road. It is released off of the car, preventing drag, or rather indicating that there is minimal drag present. And a special treat for those of you that are still around for the video, right here we can see several flower petals go under the car between the air dam and the inside of the front tire, which leads directly to our mid underbody air dam that is supposed to shove unneeded air out from under the side between the front and the rear axle. And if we take a look here, boom, there they go out from underneath the car, creating vacuum. For those of you wondering, speeds here are in the ballpark between 45 to 60 miles an hour, depending on the section of road. But I can assure you, the faster you go, the better this works. When I get into triple digits, the suspension is noticeably tighter as that car gets sucked against the pavement. Before you leave this video, if you're actually considering buying this kit or one similar with some customizations, let me tell you a couple things you're going to want to know. One, the front splitter is aluminum, it's big, and it's not quite cumbersome, but you're going to want a second person to help you install. You also do not need to take the whole front fascia of the car off. Could you do that? Sure, but there's 3 push pins. I would get a push pin removal tool from Harbor Freight or Amazon, pop those 3 off. That's the thing that diverts the air up to the radiator. You pull that off, you have access to everything under the front portion of the nose, and then there's 2 access ports that are, I think, 10 millimeter. Everything's 10 millimeter, right? That lets you get into these corners up on the front, mostly for maintaining and replacing your fogs and your running lights, or your fogs and your running lights, turn signals. But that also gives you access around this part to do your install. So no, you don't need to take the front off the car, but you are going to want a second person to help you get it lined up, hold it steady, get at least your left and right corners drilled and loosely tightened up a little bit so you don't have any more play, and then you can do the rest of it yourself. But for the initial couple of bolts to get it locked into place, you're going to want someone there to help you. Side skirts, rear spats, you can do yourself. On the rear spats, the
default template he had was for a Trans Am that had a slightly longer, more diffuser style tail on it. And when I got those, they were too long for this more sleek Formula body that is on my Firehawk. So I had him shorten that down a little bit. So if you have a Formula style body with this style rear bumper on it, because I had a couple of different bumpers that you could get, especially with the Trans Am WS6, it is a little bit of a different rear bumper. Make sure to specify that you want the certain length that I got, because that is a custom length for the rear spat back there. And one final note, yes, I did do a little bit of extra underbody aero. The way I did it is really only going to be possible if you have these square tubing subframe connectors, because I took Easy Lip, the foam 3M adhesive shitty little front lips that you can put on your cars. I put one on the leading edge of the subframe connector on both sides, so that after the air has been pulled in through underneath, because it's a bottom feeder for the radiator, air intake to the motor is here, radiator's underneath, so it gets sucked in and then it goes out, and it's kind of messy because it's gone through a radiator, it's lost all its speed, and now it's just kind of floating and waiting to get sucked and pulled back into the passing air around. So those two subframe connectors are angled at about a 45-ish, and so it's an 1.5 inches of Easy Lip under there to help push that out from underneath of the car to help add vacuum to it. So the faster you go, the better those work, and not only adding downforce to the top of the car by keeping the air on top of the car, that's the whole purpose of the splitter, but now I'm also ejecting excess air out the sides. And one last piece of Easy Lip I did was I put about probably a 3 or 4 inch wide piece to force that air to go around on either side versus crashing into the tire and getting churned up into that vortex that tires notoriously make. Tires are possibly the worst thing for a good aero car. There's almost nothing you can do about it. You can fix everything else, but then when it comes to that tire, that churning vortex of air is just a pain to deal with. So the best way to deal with it on a street car like this is to just get the air away from it. And that's what that did. This is going to be an ongoing series on the channel. I've already got Coney shocks to put back in here. It already has Coneys on it from the factory, but they're old. They're from 2002, even though it's lower mileage, only 45,000 miles on the car. That's still time to change them. I can see them, they've leaked out and they've sort of curdled up and crinkled up the exterior paint. I know they're not good. So those are getting replaced. We also have rear bump stops to replace. And then we have the engine that we're gonna build. We're gonna be doing, again, period correct. So LS1, LS6 technology. What were they doing? LS6 intake, Black Hawk intake. Already have it. High rise from the W6 on the intake box. Already have it. And then long tube headers, cam it, and then after that, we might decide to do a stroker conversion on the stock block with forged internals as well. We'll see how well the rear end stays hooked up, because this is not going to be a drag car. This is going to be a time attack, circuit track, and still daily drivable car. So we're not going crazy hot on the cam. I'm not going crazy stiff on the clutch in the car. I'm not going to do a transmission rebuild unless we blow one out. We are going to change the rear diff from a cruising style, I think it's a 343, 342 back there, to like a 390 or maybe a 410 to give it a little bit more low end grunt. I want this to be a good, fun, all around car that you could still drive to the grocery store, pick the kids up from the school parking lot, stuff like that. So if you have any period correct recommendations on what I can do to further enhance the car, please let me know in the description down below. I was born in '92, so I was alive for 2002, but I wasn't hot rodding in 2002. So I'm having to figure this out all after the fact. So let me know down below what you think I should do to it to be tastable, to be period correct, to still be nice and drivable, but still at the same time a ripper. Thank y'all. Subscribe and have a good day.